Okay, we are reading I Want to Be Miss America by Julia Alvarez. As young teenagers in our new country, my three sisters and I searched for clues on how to look as if we belonged here. We collected magazines, studied our classmates and our new TV, which is where we discovered the Miss America contest. Watching the pageant became an annual event in our family. Once a year, we all plopped down in our parents' bedroom, with Mommy and Poppy presiding from their bed. In our nightgowns, we watched the 50 young women who had the American look we longed for. The beginning was always the best part. All 50 contestants came on for one and only one appearance. In alphabetical order, they stepped forward and enthusiastically introduced themselves by name and state. Hi, I'm Susie Martin, Miss Alaska. Their voices rang with false cheer. You could hear, not far off, years of high school cheerleading, pom-poms, bleachers full of moon-eyed boys, and moms on phones signing them up for all manner of lessons and making dentist appointments. There they stood, 50 puzzle pieces forming the pretty face of America. So we thought, though most of the color had been left out, except for one, or possibly two, light-skinned black girls. If there was a Hispanic, she usually looked all American and only had the last name. Lopez or Rodriguez, often mispronounced, showed a trace of a great great grandfather with a dark curled mustache and a sombrero charging the Alamo. During the initial roll call, what most amazed us was that some contestants were ever picked in the first place. They were homely girls with cross-eyed smiles or chipmunk cheeks. My mother would inevitably shake her head and say, "The truth is, these Americans believe in democracy, even in looks." We were beginning to feel at home. Our acute homesickness had passed, and now we were like people recovered from a shipwreck, looking around at our new country, glad to be here. "I want to be in America," my mother hummed after we'd gone to see West Side Story, and her four daughters chorused, "Okay, by me in America." We bought a house in Queens, New York, in a neighborhood that was mostly Germans and Irish, where we were the only Hispanics. Actually, no one ever called us that. Our teachers and classmates at the local Catholic school referred to us as Puerto Ricans or Spanish. No one knew where the Dominican Republic was on the map. "South of Florida," I explained, "in the same general vicinity as Bermuda and Jamaica." I could just as well have said west of Puerto Rico, or east of Cuba, or right next to Haiti, but I wanted us to sound like a vacation spot, not a third world country, a place they would look down on. Although we wanted to look like we belonged here, the four sisters, our looks didn't seem to fit in. We complained about how short we were, about how our hair frizzed, how our figures didn't curve like those of the bathing beauties we'd seen on TV. The grass always grows on the other side of the fence," my mother scolded. Her daughters looked fine, just the way they were. But how could we trust her opinion about what looked good when she couldn't even get the sayings of our new country right? No, we knew better. We would have to translate our looks into English, iron and tweeze them out, straighten them, mold them into made in the USA beauty. So we painstakingly rolled our long curly hair round and round, using our heads as giant rollers, ironing it until we had long, shining shanks like our classmates and the contestants, only darker. Our skin was diagnosed by beauty consultants and department stores as sallow. We definitely needed a strong foundation to tone down that olive. We wore tights even in the summer to hide the legs Mommy would not let us shave. We begged for permission, dreaming of the contestants' long, silky limbs. We were 10, 14, 15, and 16, merely children, Mommy explained. We had long lives ahead of us in which to shave. We defied her. Giggly and red-faced, we all pitched in to buy a big tube of Nair at the local drugstore. We acted as if we were purchasing contraceptives. That night, we crowded into the bathroom, and I, the most courageous along these lines, offered one of my legs as a guinea pig. When it didn't become gangrenous or fall off as Mama had predicted, we crimped the other 7 legs. We beamed at each other. We were one step closer to that runway, those flashing cameras, those oohs and ahs from the audience. Mommy didn't even notice our nared legs. She was too busy disapproving of the other changes. Our clothes, for one. "You're going to wear that in public?" She'd gawk as if to say, "What will the Americans think of us?" "This is what the Americans wear," we would argue back. But the dresses we had picked out made us look cheap, she said, like bad, fast girls, gringas without vergüenza, without shame. She preferred her choices: fuchsia skirts with matching vests, flowered dresses with bows at the neck or gathers where you wanted to look slim. Everything bright and busy, like something someone might wear in a foreign country. Our father didn't really notice our new look at all, but if called upon to comment, he would say absently that we looked beautiful, like Marilyn Monroe. Still, during the pageant, he would offer insights into what he thought made a winner. "Personality, Mommy," my father would say from his post at the head of the bed. "Personality is the key." Though his favorite contestants, whom he always championed in the name of personality, tended to be the fuller girls with big breasts who gushed shamelessly at Burt Parks. "Ay, Poppy," we would groan, rolling our eyes at each other. Sometimes, as the girls sashayed back down the aisle, Papa would break out in a little Dominican song that he sang whenever a girl had a lot of swing in her walk. "I don't have to cut the cane, the wind knocks it down, the wind of Dora's movement as she walks downtown." That's the translation to this song here. My father would stop on a New York City street when a young woman swung by and sing the song out loud to the great embarrassment of his daughters. We were sure that one day when we weren't around to make him look like the respectable father of 4 girls, he would be arrested. My mother never seemed to have a favorite contestant. She was the next beauty herself, and no one seemed to measure up to her high standards. She liked the good girls who had common sense and talked about their education and about how they owed everything to their mothers. "Tell that to my daughters," my mother would address the screen, as if none of us were there to hear her. If we challenged her, how exactly did we not appreciate her? She'd maintain a wounded silence for the rest of the evening, until the very end of the show, that is, when all our disagreements were forgotten and we waited anxiously to see which of the 2 finalists holding hands on the near-empty stage would be the next reigning queen of beauty. How can they hold hands, I always wondered. Don't they secretly wish the other person would, well, die? My sisters and I always had plenty of commentary on all the contestants. We were hardly strangers to this ritual of picking the beauty. In our own family, we had a running competition as to who was the prettiest of the 4 girls. We coveted one another's best feature. The oldest's the oldest's dark almond-shaped eyes, the youngest's great mane of hair, the third oldest's height and figure. I didn't have a preferred feature, but I was often voted the cutest, though my oldest sister liked to remind me that I had the kind of looks that wouldn't age well. Although she was only 11 months older than I was, she seemed years older, ages wiser. She bragged about the new kind of math she was learning in high school called algebra, which she said I would never be able to figure out. I believed her. Dumb and ex-cute. That's what I would grow up to be. As for the prettiest Miss America, we sisters kept our choices secret until the very end. The range was limited. Pretty white women who all really wanted to be wives and mothers. But even the small and innate set of options these girls represented seemed boundless compared with what we were used to. We were being groomed to go from being dutiful daughters to being dutiful wives with hymens intact. No stops along the way that might endanger the latter. No careers, no colleges, no shared apartments with girlfriends, no boyfriends, no social lives. But the young women on the screen who were being held up as models in this new country were in college or at least headed there. They wanted to do this, but they were going to do that with their lives. Everything in our native culture had instructed us otherwise. Girls were to have no aspirations beyond being good wives and mothers. Sometimes there would even be a contestant headed for law school or medical school. I wouldn't mind having an office visit with her, my father would say, smirking. The women who caught my attention were the prodigies who bounded on stage and danced to tapes of themselves playing original compositions on the piano, always dressed in costumes they had sewn, with a backdrop of easels holding paintings they've painted. Overkill, my older sister insisted. But if one good thing came out of watching this yearly parade of American beauties, it was the subtle permission we all felt as a family. A girl could excel outside the home and still be a winner. Every year, the queen came down the runway in her long gown with a sash like an old world's general belt of ammunition. Down the walkway she paraded, smiling and waving while Bert sang his happy song that made our eyes fill with tears. When she stopped at the very end of the stage and the camera zoomed in on her misty-eyed beauty and the credits began to appear on the screen, I always felt let down. I knew I would never be one of those girls. Ever. It wasn't just the blonde, blue-eyed looks or the beautiful leggy figure. It was who she was. An American. And we were not. We were foreigners. Dark hair and dark eyes with olive skin that could never, no matter the sunblocks or foundation makeup, be made into peaches and cream. Had we been able to see into the future beyond our noses, which we thought weren't the right shape, beyond our curly hair, which we wanted to be straight, and beyond the screen, which inspired us with a limited vision of what was considered beautiful in America, we would have been able to see the late 60s coming. Soon, ethnic looks would be in. Even Barbie, that quintessential white girl, would suddenly be available in different shades of skin color, with bright, colorful outfits that looked like the ones Mommy had picked out for us. Our classmates in college wore long braids like Native Americans and embroidered shawls and peasant blouses from South America, and long, diaphanous skirts and dangly earrings from India. They wanted to look exotic. They wanted to look like us. We then felt a gratifying sense of inclusion, but it had unfortunately come too late. We had already acquired the habit of doubting ourselves as well as the place we came from. To this day, after 3 decades of living in America, I feel like a stranger in what I now consider my own country. I am still that young teenager sitting in front of the black and white TV in my parents' bedroom, knowing in my bones I will never be the beauty queen. There she is, Miss America, but even in my up-to-date, enlightened dreams, she never wears my face. That was the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed it.